to um, the, um, I'm going to pop us back to um, the studio. And there we go. There we go. All right. All right. So um, I like the fact that you said that you use this every day because, like, I have been, because you said, just ask Chat GPT because otherwise I'd be bugging you every day. So I have been asking Chat GPT things like, is today a good day? Knowing my natal chart. But I have to know my natal chart and I have to be able to tell ChatGPT what to do. But like I said, if it, I had to do something that required me selling something valuable a couple days ago. And I'm like, is this a good day for me to do this? And ChatGPT was like, yeah, okay. So, but it's not a very in-depth thing like you can do. Like if I had asked you the same thing, you would have told me exactly why. ChatGPT doesn't tell me why. It's just a yes or no kind of thing. But I just think you're incredible at this, and the fact that you learned it in 3 to 4 years is what is so amazing to me because I know I've told you before that I know people who've been doing it for 25, 30 years and have never been able to tell me what you tell me about my chart. I mean, you dig deep, and I appreciate that. And I think people who come to you for astrology are going to appreciate that too. So yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to
Oh no.
say that um, your ability to do this is like it is truly a gift. It is, I mean, it's your hard work, but it's also, spirit gave you the ability to do this on the level you do, and it's just amazing to me. So
Well,
go
and
on.
my thing is like I really have to remember that like I will always be an internal student, that I have to remain teachable. Like I often at times with astrology feel like I'm doing this. Like and I'm like, and then I have to go back and like look at things and like, but that's the joy of it, is that it's an art as well as a what we consider a pseudoscience. Traditional science does not say, hey, astrology is real, but it is very technical and it can be overwhelming. That being said, I've seen how astrology has played out in my life. And especially like once I had a good idea of how to work with a chart, then I started going back and looking at significant periods in my life and looking at the energy that was going on and looking at the transiting energy and saying, what was going on here? And then almost always, I find something very interesting. And I'm like, oh, so I had Pluto going over my third house. Well, of course, that was going to be a very period where I was transforming how I speak and how I connect with my family members. And so it just provides a deeper layer. And a big part of learning astrology is about trusting your intuition. And that's something that I very much so have to do because it's almost like when I'm reading someone's chart, at some point I drop into channel and I'm channeling spirit. And I have I understand the rubric of how it works, but spirit is helping me by nudging me in the areas of the ways that I can actually be able to really synthesize this information so that when I deliver it to a client, it makes sense for them and they get the most benefit out of it. Um, I definitely found that it's through my connection with daily spiritual practice that allows that for it to happen. And I go back and revisit the basics. I go back and I look at things that I feel like, okay, I got a full understanding. Every day when I look at my chart, I always find something new or something I've glanced over. And I'm like, oh, we should go back and revisit that. What does that mean for me? And that helps me become a better astrologer. So when I read other people's charts, I really give them a complete synthesis and I'm not missing things. Like pointing out, for instance, the yacht that was in your chart, and then having people not having anyone tell you that you even had that Oh, I was just saying, like, and for, when I was reading your chart for you, like pointing out an aspect configuration that you have, which is called a yod, which is a finger of fate or a finger of God aspect, and not knowing about that aspect that no one had told you about that before. Yeah, and then it's understanding, how do I work with this energy? This energy could be a major point of frustration because typically a yacht is a tense configuration, which typically is very unpleasant and provides a lot of issues in life until we start to learn how to work with and integrate that energy. And so, for you, for instance, the yacht that you have going on, it's almost like there is this part of you that it's like really deeply spiritual, and it's pointing to, how do I get into a teaching position with this, but also how am I integrating this energy so that I can embody and be the teacher. It can be a contentious point where it's like, oh, it's either touch or go. Some days I feel like I am, some days I feel like I'm not. And how do I really step into that? Because the sextile between your Neptune and your Pluto is energy that works well together, but it has to be applied. It has to be consciously engaged with in order to unlock that energy. And then pointing to the part of your chart where really is like really where the frustration's coming from. It's like that's the outlet to the pressure cooker. And how do I start to tap into the sextile? And so, and that's one thing that I can also mention in astrology is like, starting out with the basics, learning the signs, learning the houses, then learning about how to point those things out on a basic chart. And then once you have a solid understanding of that and you understand the elements, which would be, earth, air, fire, and water, understanding how those elements work, then I would say it would be an appropriate time to start looking at aspects between planets. Like we were looking at that aspect in the chart of the moment, which was Mars squaring over to that Uranus, Sun, and Mercury. Well, it can be defeating. I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, I have 19 squares in my chart. Like that is a lot of squares, and squares are very frustrating energy. And so when I had first looked at my chart and I was like, whoa, there's a lot of red and a little bit of blue, and when I was learning, I was like, red is bad, blue is good. And it's so much more than that. Like, actually, where my gold really sits is in those tough configurations because it gives me the potential to learn and to be teachable and to grow. If you have a lot of trine or blue or sextile energy in your chart, it's like as if everything could be one handed to you, very effortless, and that you feel like you don't have to work hard because it's so naturally free flowing. It can be very complacent and lazy if we don't engage with our gifts. So, people that are dominated by trines and sextiles tend to have an issue with not having enough ruffling going on in their life, which is causing them to really triumph through adversity. where I'm built on triumph and adversity. I do have some triumphs in my chart, but it's mostly been struggle. That I think that that's why I work like I do. And I keep like it's like frustration, but I just keep going and I keep trying a different way. It's like uh beating a dead horse. And I'm like, I'm gonna keep beating the dead horse. Oh, yeah, it's starting to fade, but you can see a little bit. Mm, mm, right. That's amazing. Yes, I am on Hipsy. So Hipsy is a platform for people to be able to provide services. Particularly, I offer a lot of different services on my Hipsy, which would be from natal astrology to relationship, tarot, oracle. I do offer some Reiki on there. And so there's a bunch of different offerings. It's hypsee.com. And if you type in sacred and profane astrology, I should pop right up, but we'll have that link in the bottom in the description as well. And you can also reach me on my Instagram at Dustin underscore Dawes, Daws. And you can message me if you would like a reading there. I also do offer astrological tutoring. So if you're wanting to learn this, I offer weekly sessions through superprof.com, which is a great website that allows different teachers to connect out with people that are looking for potential tutoring. And you can find me under the same name for if you would like mentorship. So um, that I would say if you're feeling like you are in a place where you are at crossroads, where you are needing new direction, or just needing insight on the parts that make you tick, that astrology is a very powerful way to understand the fragmented self, to understand the parts of ourself and how they work in relationship to each other, to give us a better opportunity to really be our truth, speak our truth, and to exemplify our higher selves. How do we connect with that energy? Astrology has given me a way to do deeper shadow work, to look at the because I mean I found a lot of things in my shadow that were not inherently bad that actually have been very good, and it was only through doing astrological work, reading my natal chart, figuring out how this energy is playing out in my life, and then going and looking in the shadow and doing that work to be like, oh, I mean, I found creativity there. I was a dancer. I was a potter growing up. I did not draw. And now I'm a painter and I do henna and I tattoo. This is something that was in my shadow that I had to be willing to go and say, why was I repressing this stuff? Like, why did I not give myself permission to connect with my creativity? And so that's what astrology can do for you. And if you feel overwhelmed, find a tutor. If you feel overwhelmed and you just want to know about your chart, get a reading. It doesn't necessarily have to be with me, but I would suggest find a good astrologer who has a solid understanding of the work that can really lead you through your chart, and it will be life changing for you. I'll take it. I'll take it. And thank you. That is a very kind words for you to say that. That is, it makes my heart warm. Let's not inflate my ego any bigger. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and thank you. Okay. Yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much. Namaste. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.